This is lesson 103 through 115, where we get to learn about grace notes, harmonics, tremolos, pizzicato, and a lot of cool effects that you'll see mostly in orchestral music or very virtuosic music, but it's good to know. Grace notes are an embellishment or ornament used in music. Typically, they are very short duration and can be stressed or not stressed. They do not alter the rhythm of the main or principal notes. When playing grace notes, we typically steal a little bit of time from the previous note to make the main notes fall on the proper beat. Grace notes are written and appear as smaller notes in comparison to actual notes, and although they're acciatura and appoggiatura, former with a slash going through it, meaning non-stressed, and later with a slash going through it, meaning stressed, in most cases you just have to know and to use your best judgment to play the passage most musically. So the way that a grace note is written, you'll notice there's an open A in the example, then there's a D, and there's a tiny little C sharp with a grace note and a slash. But the way it's played is, so without the grace note, it's A sharp, A, C sharp. And then with the grace note, we would steal a little bit of time from the A to go ba-dum. So the D, the next note, must be on time, and we end the A a little shorter, so that grace note C sharp comes right before the D. 1, 2, 1, 2, right? So grace notes are, as in any embellishment or ornament, should match the style of the piece. If the musical piece is calm and slow, all of your embellishments should be calm and slow. And if the piece is intense, your ornamentation or embellishment should also reflect that as well. So similar to vibrato, your grace notes and any kind of embellishment always has to be thoughtful and in the style of the piece that you're playing. Number 104, lightly row with grace notes. So there's some grace notes added. Next we have Jingle Bells, lesson 105 with grace notes. Now, did Jingle Bells with grace notes added sound absolutely ridiculous? You're 100% correct. But take a note that in the end of the second line, I use the C natural because that's the key. So grace notes, same as trills, always have to be within your key. Next, we're going to learn about harmonics. So first, we'll start with natural harmonics. So harmonics on a violin are a very special effect that produces a sort of glassy, hollow, bell-like pitch sound. A natural harmonic is produced by slightly touching the string at half, third, and quarter divisions with the left finger while playing normally with the bow. The note produced as higher than the fingered note above would be in low position. Although harmonics at 1/5 and other divisions of the string are possible, they are typically really difficult to play well, and you will rarely encounter them in music, thus they are not covered in this book. If you play the double bass, because it's so much larger, has way more harmonics that are possible than a violin. But really advanced pieces do have some fancy harmonics. So half division of the string, you get a 7th position that divides the string exactly in half between the nut and the bridge and produces the same pitch but with a glassy hollow sound, right? It's 2 octaves up or an octave up. A 3rd division, the 4th tape produces a pitch 1 octave up and a 5th higher. Example, your 4th finger on the D string harmonic produces an A that's a 3rd tape on the E string. So this is 3 on E. This is my harmonic on D string with pinky. Right, so it's a D. This is D string. and then it's a fifth, right? Because it's a D. And then the quarter division the third tape produces a pitch 2 octaves above the played note. So example, a third finger on the D string, harmonic produces a high D sound in the third position on E string. So, right, so it's not 1 octave up, it's 2 octaves up. Okay, so a harmonic is notated either by a circle above a note, a diamond above the note, or a diamond that is a note. So the nomenclature, how it's written, sometimes it's different. And then basically, we're going to turn around. Normally we would press the string to play a harmonic. We barely lift all the other fingers but the note that we are playing harmonic with, and we barely touch it. Right? And because that is a natural division of the string, the quarter, third, and half, that's where we get those natural harmonics. So interestingly enough, the harmonics is also where we place our fingers. So the quarter division of the string, we get a harmonic. And that is the third tape on our instrument, or the third note played with the finger. The fourth finger, or the division of the string into 3 equal parts. So if we took the string and divided it into three equal parts, that is where the pinky would have been in first position. And that is the third division of the string. So the string divided into 3 equal parts. And then last but not least, we have a half division. And the harmonics are the same whether you're at the bottom half or the upper half. So here is, let's do A string. Here is quarter, third, half. You notice how this harmonic and this harmonic sounds identical. Isn't that cool? Yeah. All right. Lesson 108, false harmonics. Now, a really cool effect and sound is to play with false harmonics. So this technique actually allows you to play a melody with harmonics. Not when with false harmonics, you're not limited to just those quarter and third divisions of the string. This is accomplished by fully pressing down your index finger on any string and then slightly pressing your pinky, creating a quarter division of the string. So this technique is challenging because, number one, you have to use 2 fingers on the same string, and number 2, each finger needs to apply a different amount of fingertip pressure. The index finger has to fully press the string against the fingerboard, and pinky needs to barely touch the string with a quarter division of the string. So this is really cool because you can essentially play melody with false harmonics, which we'll get to a little bit later. And then to see an example of a really cool piece that uses harmonics on a virtuosic level, right, is the Tzigan by Ravel. So the composer is Ravel, and the piece is Tzigan, spelled Tzigane, right? And then another piece is the Firebird Suite by Stravinsky. In the middle of the Hungarian dance number 5, there are some harmonics there as well. So we're going to go through the examples. So here is on the D, quarter, third, half, and they can be written as circles above, zeros above, or diamonds. So if you have a diamond or a zero above a note that usually is played with the finger, that would be a harmonic. All right, so here is a D scale with now false harmonics. So this is lesson A, part A, 1 on D, which is E, and then pinky, normal note pinky. Now we're gonna play 1, we're gonna hold it, and you'll notice how now I'm going to barely touch the pinky. So again, my E is pressing, my pinky is barely touching where the A is, so E is pressing, pointer is pressing, the pinky is barely touching. So that's the false harmonic that we were just learning about. So here is exercise B of number 109. So I essentially just played a 1 finger scale because that's what we're going to have to do for false harmonics. Here is part C, and this is what the third finger and the pinky will do with harmonics, but we're going to play with real notes right now. Now, line D, we need to put that together. So a pointer, open string, or a third finger, will create the false harmonic, or a pointer will press the note with full pressure and pinky will press barely. All right, so here is line D with D scale in 1 octave with false harmonics. So that was a D scale with false harmonics. We're going on to number 110, lesson 110, repeated notes, shorthand, slashes. So very often in ensemble chamber music like quartets and trios and orchestra music, you will see a shorthand where you see a half note with a slash. So we're going to make sure that you know what it means. So often you'll encounter the same note repeated more than once. To make it easier to read, repeated notes are often written in shorthand by using slashes on the stem of the note. The number of slashes indicate the type of rhythmic value to be repeated. If you have one slash, that is eighth notes. Same as if you were to connect notes with one bridge, it would be eighth notes. And then two slashes are 16th notes. So the top example is written as whole note. You notice how all I played was eighth notes. That is because those shorthands are first, the eighth notes are written out, then a quarter note with a slash is written out, then a half note, then a whole note. So basically a whole note with a slash underneath, a forward slash I guess, would be 8 eighth notes. Okay, now we have the third line example. It actually changes. So we have so let's think it through. We have a half note, then we have a half note with a slash. So those half note of the same note played as eighth notes, then regular quarter, then we have a quarter rest, then we have a quarter with a slash, so just 2 eighth notes, then a half note worth of sixteenths, so there's going to be ticka, 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 rest, then a quarter of sixteenths, ticka, ticka, then the last measure is 2 eighth notes, followed by 4 sixteenths, and then followed by 8 eighth notes. So again, this is bottom of page 92, lesson 110, how it's played, shorthand above. All right, we're moving on to tremolo, lesson 111. Tremolo is another cool bowing effect that builds suspense, excitement, and energy. Essentially, it's a rapid playing of 1 or 2 notes. Think of tremolo as a tremble. Right? The bowing technique is usually used in orchestral music and most often notated as 3 diagonal slashes. Tremolo can be thought of as fast bow shake, right? Using the right hand fingers played best at the tip of the bow. Half note to tip, then tremolo. Start with the tremolo in the upper half, then accent with the full bow, followed by an accent with the full bow to the tremolo. So, we're going to do half note, we're going to stay there. All right. Now, 3 slashes could technically mean 30 seconds, but most of the time the music is so fast, it really just means tremolo. Okay, so that's what was written, that one line, and then it was spelled out at the played as before, and it's basically just half note, and you could retake. That's usually what one does. Okay, we can also have a multi-note tremolo. This typically the notes are played very fast and not measured. Thus easier notated as a tremolo rather than written out as rapid notes. So here, the tremolo is not done in the bow. The tremolo is like a tremble or a shake of the left fingers. So we'll notice that the example gives us a whole note. There's 2 whole notes in that measure. And the reason why a 4/4 measure has 2 whole notes is that it just shows us that it's a whole note worth of tremolo going between D and B, in the A string. And then the second measure tells us that it's a half note worth of D and C natural, and then a half note worth of D and B. And again, if you were to measure those half notes, it would be too much for 4/4, but it shows you that these 2 notes rapidly repeated back and forth for a half note. So what's written and what's played at is going to be like this. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 1, 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So that is what that exercise shows us. Next, we're going on to pizzicato techniques. Did you know that there's more than one type of pizzicato? Yes, there's actually 3 or 4, 3 main ones. So there are 2 main ways to produce a sound on the violin. This is lesson 112, bowing or arco, and plucking or pizzicato, usually abbreviated as pizz. Right, but we have different techniques and effects. So arco is just played with the bow. Pizzicato is you pluck with the right hand. A plus sign is left hand pizzicato. Your left hand is going to pluck the string. And then when you have a circle with a little line going up, that is what's called a Bartók pizz. Named after the composer Bela Bartók, the string is pinched with the thumb and pointer index finger and pulled above the fingerboard and released. It produces a very percussive plucking sound. Be careful not to pluck too rough and too hard so that your string could either pull off the bridge, or you could potentially break a string, or also you could prematurely make the string wear out. So that's a Bartók pizz. You pinch and it actually, the string hits the fingerboard, and that's what creates the plucking sound. So lesson 113, the different types of pizzicato. Arco, regular pizz. We're going to grab the bow, we're going to make an L with the thumb and pointer. We're going to put a thumb on the edge, raise our hand, relax our wrist. So that is your regular pizzicato. The third measure has pluses above, so that means left hand pizzicato. You'll notice what I'm doing is I'm going to bring my elbow out, I'm going to bring my wrist in, even though this is not technically correct, it's going to help me. We're going to get with a ring finger under the string, and we're going to pluck up. The reason I'm not going to pluck to the side is that I would get all 4 strings at once. So the only way to get one string with left hand pizzicato is get under it and pluck up. You notice how my bow was and my hand was here? I'm plucking with my finger. So I'm getting my ring finger under the string, plucking up. And then the Bartók pizz is... Alright, so we're going to do lesson 114, a major left-hand pizzicato scale. So when you see a down bow, that's going to be bowed, up bow is going to be bowed, and then the pluses will be plucking. If you want a really fancy example of left-hand pizzicato, Google Paganini and left-hand pizzicato. You'll find some pieces that are really quite virtuosic and very, very impressive. So here is lesson 114. A little bit difficult to hear, but basically I played 3, then I kept the 2 down on the A string, and I had to pluck the 3rd finger while the 2nd finger holds the string. Same thing for the F sharp. I'm going to hold the F sharp, which is the 1, and then the 2 is going to pluck while the F sharp is holding, and then pluck E string. Now this one is harder because you have to pluck up and you can't hit the E string. Same thing with the open A. Alright, so now lesson 115, we're going to attempt to do Twinkle Twinkle Little Star with left hand pizzicato as much as possible. Well, apologies, we'll start with A. And that's left-hand pizzicato. Very pretty advanced technique. So to get it clean, plucking with your left-hand pizzicato, make sure that you put your fingers under the string and you pluck up. Thank you for watching. I hope you find this inspirational and cool. Next lesson we get to learn about double stops, so 2 notes at once. Thank you for watching. Please comment, like, and subscribe if you find these interesting. Thank you.